It was only God that could have gotten me through this without going to prison, that could have gotten me through this without losing my mind. It was the only way. He was the only way. It's funny how people assume that when you're a divorcee that you wanted to do that it was your choice to get divorced, or it was, I want to be outside, or whatever the case may be. But I'm here to say that I did not want my divorce. I never wanted a divorce. I never got married to get a divorce. I did not believe in divorce. I did not believe in separation. I didn't believe in any of it. I loved so much to the point where I would stay in something that probably wasn't the best for me, no matter what. And I was willing to stay in a situation that wasn't the best for me. It wasn't the best for either of us, if I'm honest. I want to come on here and address a couple things to kind of give context to my last video. And I really appreciate all of the comments and everything. The negative comments are interesting, and it kind of shows who walks in wisdom and who really walks with Christ. By the way that their fruit speaks in the way that you talk to people and the way that you pass judgment. I just hope that people would really examine themselves, like really when they speak or respond or say stuff to people, like, is this the fruit that I want to put out there? Is this how I want people to see me? Like, where's whatever I'm saying coming from? If it's not coming from a place of love, then I probably should just keep it to myself. And I do want to come on here and say, and I wanted to make it very clear that I hate divorce. I absolutely hate it. I can't believe that I went through this process. Like, I literally got married to for a couple different reasons. I got married because, number one, I believe in marriage. Number two, at the time, I didn't want the stamp. I'm not even gonna lie. But I wanted the stamp with that particular person because I had been with him for forever. So it all made sense. We grew up together, and we had a child together. And I believe at one point in time, we did genuinely love each other. Now, did the lust keep us going for longer than we probably should have? I think that the lust did, keep us going longer than what we probably should have. On my end, I can only speak for myself, is that I was genuine from the start. I genuinely loved this man, and I couldn't see myself with anyone else but him at the time. When you grow up with a person, you get to see them in different ways. You literally get to see, just like your parent does. You see someone grow from adolescent to adult. But when you're 18, when you're 19, 20, you're just getting to college. Like, you're just getting out into the world. Your parents don't even see you as much as they used to see you. So whoever is getting this transformation of you during the period of 18 to 30, they're gonna see a lot of change. They're gonna see a lot of change. And only a parent can love someone. And there's some relationships that have lasted and they are high school sweethearts, things like that. So I do believe in love that starts at a young age, that can endure and keep going. One of the comments I saw, this had nothing to do with God, you were just too young. And I can agree with that a little bit. I believe I was too young to be in a serious relationship. And I can honestly be accountable when I say that this relationship was not equally yoked. If I'm 100% honest, it wasn't equally yoked. It was grounded in things that were not sustainable. And now, the closer I get to God, I understand that a lot of things that we went through but we weren't strong enough to persevere because we weren't close to God. And that's just that. It is what it is. I believe relationships can change. People change. I mean, I believe that there was a purpose for the time that I had with this individual. I don't think it was all bad. I appreciate the times that we did have. Like, we had some beautiful moments. It ended bad, but it wasn't all bad. Like, everybody that knows us, that grew up with us, a lot of our friends got married together. Like, we all got married within the same year, and we all had kids together. Like, we had a community around us. So it wasn't just some hot fling that, whatever we were, in the world. We were in the world. We were going out, we were drinking, we were doing all the things. But I mean, I think everybody does that when they're in their 18s and 20s and all of the things. The only difference is that we did it together. And unfortunately, the time where we were supposed to be finding ourselves, we were finding ourselves together. And we found ourselves in a lot of the times we were bumping heads because we were still finding ourselves. I think there was love there, but we weren't sure of ourselves. Number one, we weren't grounded in God. We were not mature. We both acted out of emotions a lot of the time. Now that I look back on things, we acted out on emotions a lot. I was an emotional wreck. Like, I was so emotional. I would crash out easily, especially in my 20s. Like, from 18 to like 25, from 18 to like 24, I would crash out. Like, I would be pissed off if I seen any girl, if I seen anybody. I was very territorial. Like, I did not play about him. You hear me? And as I heal and as I do the work, I go back and I figure out what was going on with me at that time. I just, from the outside looking in, and I have to take a look and take a step back and love on that girl, because whatever was going on, I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel secure. I just wasn't myself. I wasn't chasing after the things that I know God has gifted me in doing. I wasn't doing anything. I was worried about this relationship. And of course, we had a baby young too, so we had to buckle down quickly. And as much as people are going off in the comments without knowing, this is a lot of people's story. And I would love to see if some of y'all are happily married with beautiful children, and your story is just perfect. I would love to see that. But we all have a story, and we really need to stop acting like and passing judgment, acting like everybody just has to, like God can't change somebody and God can't use a bad decision and change it. It's just unrealistic. There's too many instances in the Bible itself where God gave people grace after they did something crazy or they did something. There were still consequences. There were still things that they still had to repent. They still had to do stuff. But at the same time, you're never to a point where God is not, his grace is sufficient. So if you see these comments, and a lot of them I've deleted since then, because I'm just like, y'all not gonna get, y'all not gonna get no time up here, and you're not gonna discourage people. So I have deleted a lot of them, but some of them are still there. Don't even pay attention to those people. But I appreciate the time that I had with that person. All in all, he was a very hard worker. He provided for his family. He had a really good work ethic. I never had to worry about this man having a job. And when he didn't have a job, he found a business to do. This man was very good with his hands. I mean, I'll say he was a good person. On the outside persona, he was a good person to everybody else and everything else. And at times he was good to me. But there was a lot of things that, now that I'm starting to do my healing, that I recognize that hurt people. I can't place the blame so much on him for things that possibly happened to him before I knew him as a child. Because I look at myself and I'm like, wow, that little girl was hurting, and she grew up into this person that still had some trauma there, that still had something there that was lacking, to where she was insecure, that she wasn't, confident in herself. So I have this grace for people now because I went through this. Marriage is a mirror, whether it succeeds or it fails. Now that I have did some soul searching and really dug deep to figure out in certain situations of my marriage, where did that come from? What were you doing? What were you thinking? What were you feeling? And when I got down to the bottom of it, it started somewhere early. Now, because I've seen that, I have a grace for people, because I know that it's just something that they got to work through. It's something that God has to work through with them too. And whenever He's ready to show them how to face it, they'll face it. But until then, I'm going to keep praying. I can only pray for myself to continue to learn and to just be better and be aware. Nowadays, I try not to be so harsh on people because you never know where things come from. A lot of people that are hurt in the comments based on what they're saying, just based off what you're saying, especially some of the comments regarding me. Oh, she just ready she just want to be out in the streets, and just angry. Where is that coming from? First of all, you don't know my story for you to even be saying that. You just have to be careful. And the things that you say show exactly what you've either gone through or what you're going through. And I can bet that somebody had a negative experience regarding marriage that's in the comments. And I get it, I do. But you cannot go around just talking to people like that. Unless you don't care. If you don't care, then I just hope that you don't affect someone who can't take it. I don't care. I'm just gonna keep it a buck with you. I've had worse things said to me, and you don't know me. So if you don't like the content that I'm producing, you have all space and opportunity not to watch. If it triggers you, which it looks like it is triggering you, just turn it off, baby. It's not crucial for you to watch. So with that being said, nowadays I just give people grace and just understanding that you don't know what they've been through. Not that it gives them a pass to just treat you any kind of way, but now I can just see it in a different lens. And I said that to say that even though I wasn't treated the best in the way that this marriage ended, I know that there is a root issue. There is a root issue that has nothing to do with me. I just pray that, that God will eventually get the glory out of the situation, and that He would be able to change people's hearts and work on them. And He can only do it. I can't. I want to be transparent because I don't want you guys to see my peace and joy and things like that and assume that this was something that was easy for me. It was the hardest thing of my life to do. It was literally the hardest thing in my life to do. The peace that I have now is because of God, because of the work, because I decided not to go into another relationship, and a couple other different things that I'll expound into other videos, but I just had to take a segue here. And then also, my stance on divorce is I would have never decided to divorce. But unfortunately, I had to. I do not believe in divorce. I don't. But April 2021, I was pregnant. I was about 7 months pregnant with our daughter. And we had just actually gotten back together from being separated. And we had decided that we were going to try it again and move forward. We moved into a home or whatever, and we were going to try to work everything out. Prior to us moving into that home, we had already, been working things out post separation. It was probably about a year or so. No, it wasn't a year. It had to be a little bit over 6 months because I was pregnant. Either way, we had made the decision to have another baby and continue to move forward in our marriage. And when we got back together, we moved, and I was getting ready to, almost have the baby and everything. and my grandmother ends up passing away as well. So when I come back from that funeral and dealing with all of that, that was my girl. Me and my granny was like this. When I come back, I discovered that there were text messages of my ex talking to someone he had been dealing with during our separation. And of course, I was heartbroken. I was torn apart to the point where I needed to focus on getting my daughter here. I did not want to affect her in that way. But with that being said, with everything that I saw in the messages, and the girl knew about me, she knew that I was pregnant. She would stalk my page and stalk his page, and just be jealous of the fact that I was pregnant with my husband's baby, and that I was having his first daughter. It was sickening to me to see, and that's just surface. And I'm only disclosing this for people to see that the peace that I have now and that I've asked for during this process, it is not my own doing. It was not my own doing. It was only God that could have gotten me through this without going to prison, that could have gotten me through this without losing my mind. It was the only way. He was the only way. I discovered all of this and I was just so hurt. I was so angry. I was so mad. Like, I threatened this girl when I found out. Like, it was heavy on me. I don't back down from nobody. Okay? So it wasn't foreign to me to get ready to turn up. But I had to keep being reminded, saying you pregnant, saying you can't do that. But at this point, what I seen enraged me so much that I was just, I don't know. Like, it was like my hormones. I'm already pregnant, big and pregnant at the time. I was just ready to just pop off. I called the girl. She was very disrespectful, very entitled. I just can't believe somebody would be so evil to prey on another woman's husband. And on the other hand, for my husband to betray me in that way. So I have the baby. She came early. At her, she was fine. At that point, I was still fighting for my marriage, y'all. I was like, and throughout the whole time, I'm still having these feelings like he's not done. Like, I started to internalize it myself. I'm like, Lord, did I do something? Like, is this, like, what is going on? So I would ask him, like, am I doing something wrong? Like, did I do something wrong? Like, what can I do? I want my marriage. Like, I want this to work. I'm like, I don't care what it takes. I want this to work. And I kept seeing he would not stop talking to this girl. I would check bank statements. I would check text messages. I would check everything. And I feel like that part of my life was the joy that I could have experienced was taken from me. Like, I didn't have a baby shower. I didn't experience, we did maternity pictures and stuff like that, but it's like he wasn't there. Like, he was there, but he wasn't there. And I could feel the distance. And I was just like, I feel like I was robbed of the entire experience. However, I got my baby here. She was healthy. And I mean, I started to pour into her. But then I got into a dark space after, like, months after I had her. And the vindictiveness came out. And I was like, you know what? He don't want this. I don't want this. Forget it. So I started to act out. I did. I went out. I actually went out of the country, and I got in contact with someone that I used to know, and I reached out, and we started to have conversations and things like that. And this is what happens when you're in a position or in a situation longer than what you should be in a situation. You start to become the environment that you've placed yourself in. I believe God was trying to show me that your time is up. Your time is up. And after you had this baby, you no longer need to be in this relationship. And unfortunately, everything happened the way that it did. It just happened like that. I didn't want to. I didn't listen. I was scared because I didn't want to do this by myself financially. I was terrified. I was like, you know what? I can't do this by myself. I'm down here by myself in Texas. I have family in other places in Texas, but it wasn't like family that could help me, you know? So I was like, I'm gonna try to figure out how I'm gonna work this out. And we eventually separated again. We separated for a while. I wasn't really doing anything at the time, but I wasn't getting closer to God either. I was going out with my friends. I was drinking heavy. Like I was drinking heavy, you hear me? And I was just trying to numb everything. I was numbing out. I just couldn't believe. And then I struggled with the thought of she's gonna get what I built. And she's gonna, inherit all of this good man that I have, saw to grow up and all of this other stuff. When in all actuality, that should have been the last thing I was worried about, because I hate to say this like this, but if he was such a good man, then you wouldn't find yourself in this position. And if he wanted to be out, if he no longer wanted to be in the marriage, then he would have divorced me the first time we separated. I just became someone that I didn't even recognize. I started talking to other guys and I was like, this is not even gonna work out anyway, so I may as well get ready to go on and get my life and move forward. So I would talk to guys, but I would never take them serious because my divorce wasn't final. I became really, really dark, and I didn't care about anything except my babies. That was it. So eventually he comes back and we come back together or whatever. This time, everything's good. I actually got an apartment by myself on the other side of town. I moved out of the house because I didn't want to be in the memories of what we attempted to try to put back together that failed again. Moved out of the house, and I got a beautiful little apartment or whatever. It was perfect for me and my babies. Eventually, we came back together. He had him an apartment closer to the city, and he was working and all the things, and we was like, okay, we're gonna try this again. As soon as we decide to try it again, I am looking on the page or whatever of the girl that he was dealing with before, and she's pregnant. And I'm like, huh. And she's about 4 months pregnant. Like she's showing at this point. So I'm like, oh my God. Because we had been kind of trying to get it back together for about a couple months now. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I feel like God was showing me then, like, I told you. And it's gonna keep getting worse if you don't listen to me. So I was like, wow, this is so crazy. So I asked him, and he tells me it's a possibility. And I'm like, you weren't gonna tell me anything? And it just was what it was. And I don't hold anything against him for that, because I know it was probably a scary situation. You act out of emotion so much, and men, you don't have the choice to not keep a baby or take a day after pill so I felt for him in that regard, and we were separated. That doesn't give anyone the license to do anything, but I just understand now where he probably was, is that he had made a mistake. And that was always something that I said, that we couldn't come back from. Even after that, I tried. I tried, but I had so much hate in my heart. I'm not even gonna lie. I had so much hate in my heart that I was just like, you know what? I can't do it. And there's something wrong. I know it's wrong because I don't care about this girl. I don't care about her baby. I don't care about any of it. I just want it out of my life. Even though the relationship was not sent from God, I can honestly say, and this is what I've had to talk to God about, it was still mine. It was still my relationship. And I had to grieve that, because anything that's not in his will, it just has to go. And sometimes it doesn't leave, and you do not fulfill what God has for you for real. And I never want to be in that position, but for some reason he kept coming after me. Like, I think that if God wanted that to work out, then it would have been he would have let it work out, but it didn't. It did not work out. And like I said, I felt bad for him because I knew that wasn't what he wanted. And I can honestly say that wasn't what he wanted. Unfortunately, it happened. There were so many other factors that went into the whole entire process. But ultimately, that was the last straw. And I just, I grieve the fact that our family was torn apart because of this situation. We both just lost control. We literally did, and unfortunately, we could not come back from that. And I say all that to show that divorce happens, y'all. It happens. And I know that there are a lot of imperfect situations that happen outside of divorce that a lot of people don't talk about. I'm being vulnerable right now because of the simple fact that I literally want to help somebody. I don't want to share this information, but it's so many people that are hurting and dealing with things by themselves and don't know if they want to even live anymore because this is hurting so bad. Do you understand how bad I was hurting? I loved this man. I could create a video of some of our best moments that would make some of y'all cry, because it just wasn't. So to see it all end like that, it was a tough pill to swallow. It was. And I say that for people that are struggling with divorce, that unfortunately it does have to end. Unfortunately, you are faced with the task of being a single mom or a single dad. And I'm not pointing fingers at nobody, because this is where we are. I just thank God. It's the only thing that I could think about. And I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a preacher or anything like that. I'm just now actually seeking him for real. And it's never too late. I don't care what these people in these comments are saying. God's grace is sufficient when you are in Christ. You're a new creature. I've repented for a lot of the things that I've done. I've literally been grieved, and I didn't even know what that meant until God started revealing things to me that I was doing wrong, that I knew was wrong, that I was doing. It don't matter what he did to me. It don't matter what environment I found myself in. I should not have done some of the stuff that I did. I was an emotional wreck. I was mean. It was just a lot of different things that was revealed to me. I was territorial. I would say things. I had an extremely sharp tongue. Sharp. You understand me? I didn't know how to deal with I knew how to communicate very well, and I still do, but I did not know how to manage my emotions when it came to communication. And it's all because I was not walking with God. I did not have the peace of God. The Lord was far from me. I could not hear the Holy Spirit because I was in the world. So he could not use me in the moments where we had hard days. I could not go and pray because I was far from that. Oh, we were going to church. But guess what we was going after church? We was dropping the kids off. We was going to brunch. Okay? And we would go home and have really good sex. I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, I don't even know. I don't know what else to say here. And like I said, I don't care what people have to say about me because my eyes are fixed. Okay? This is a redemption story. I believe that if you're really a follower of Christ, then you should be rejoicing because the story could have went another way. And I could still be in a toxic relationship, or I could be in another relationship trying to fill the voids of what I have experienced, of the pain that I have felt, and the sorrow of what I've done, and the grief of what I've done. But God has restored. God has restored. And I'm so thankful for it. This year was the year of obedience for me. God didn't want me to go to another relationship. He didn't want me to travel. He didn't want me to go to my friends. I don't even have the same friends anymore. And I wish them all well. Like, we had our time. Those were my girls at the time. I just thank God for everything that he's done, the awareness that I've gained, the peace that I feel. Certain situations in this divorce I'm still working out. Co-parenting is difficult right now because I still have some things that God's wringing out of me when it comes to that. But for the most part, I am peaceful. I have no reason to rah-rah. I have no reason to turn up. And if I do have the reason or opportunity to turn up like that, I know where I'm gonna go first before I do it. I'm not gonna immediately just pop off. It's gonna be like, okay, you know what, Lord? I need you to activate, Holy Spirit, activate for real, because it's been a journey, but he has changed me so much. There was times where I wouldn't even see myself talking like this. I never would have seen myself talking like this because I thought, I've always been a believer, but as far as him using me like this, I would not have foreseen. I wouldn't have. And I want to end this by saying I hate divorce. I do. I don't think anyone should go through divorce. I don't believe in separation. I do believe that you should do everything that you can to fight for your marriage. But if you're in a marriage with someone who you're unequally yoked with, it's gonna be hard. And when my father used to tell me before we moved here for college that make sure you're equally yoked with whoever you're dating. We came down here and I'm like, okay, that sounds about right. I think I can do that. I didn't know nothing, okay? I didn't know what that meant. I just thought as long as he's saved, as long as he said he got baptized when he was 3, okay? It didn't even matter as long as he said he knew the Lord. Didn't even know what it meant. And I could say the same. He didn't vet me. He didn't vet me either. He didn't know I was crazy as a road lizard. I'm not even gonna lie. I was crazy. So, I think being equally yoked definitely has a lot to do with both parties being grounded in Christ, having a real relationship, having the ability to know what it means to worship in their own way. That's different. That's intimacy with God. That's how you know that that person is intimate with the Lord, is that they know how to worship. And if it doesn't look like yours, that's okay. They know that they have a prayer life. Look at their, and I don't want to say look at their upbringing, because like I said, I think God can change anybody. But make sure your values align with theirs. Like, what do you go to? Like, do they have dependencies? I think that's different than vices. That's really different than vices, because I believe vices are things that, vices, you can shop. You can shop, you can, have a little drink. I go to this when I'm upset, or I, go play basketball, or I shop, or whatever. It could be a vice. They smoke weed or whatever. Everybody has their vices. I work a lot when I get stressed. I don't want to go home, so I work. I go to the gym, and I excessively go to the gym, to where these things become idols. Vices versus dependencies. What are you depending on? Do you depend on alcohol to go to bed? Do you depend on sex for you to calm your spirit? Do you depend on pornography for you to get something off? Do you depend on shopping because it makes you release these endorphins in your brain? That was my issue. So I'm not casting judgment on anybody, but I do think that we should be more mindful. That dependency thing, you got to pay attention to it. There's a difference between having a vice and a dependency. And I believe it all has to do with idols. Anything that you go to outside of God, you can be idolizing things that we don't even realize. And I just thank God for awareness, His grace. I thank God that a lot of you aren't God. So there's that.